You know, when this journey first began, I did not know where it was going to lead me. Hey, I want you to get ready, because today we are going to see how beautifully this topic intertwines with our everyday lives. Seasons of life. Welcome back to another episode of A Dose of Nicki. Now, as we continue with this gardening series, A Metaphor of Life, I want to make sure that you understand that this is connecting gardening with life. Okay? So just like gardening, our lives have different seasons, and each with its own purpose and lessons to teach us. Now, just as perennials and annuals play distinct roles in a garden. Now, I know many of you may not even know what perennials may be, because I definitely didn't know, but I'm going to get into it. However, we experience periods of growth and dormancy throughout our lives. So let's get started with perennials, okay? I'm going to start there first. Now, these are resilient plants that come back year after year. They seemingly dying back in the fall or the winter, but their roots remain alive underground. Now, I know that word used to be thrown around, and I didn't even know what that was until I started getting into the gardening. So I want you to understand that although you may not see them in the fall and winter time periods, their roots are still alive under the ground, and they're prepping themselves for new growth in the spring. Kind of like when we go into the new year and we start these new goals and all that fun stuff, right? But you may have not, it's like it's festering, right? You're feeding your soul so that it could get, eventually flourish, and it shows on the outside. But anyway, that's what they're doing. And this symbolizes the long-term beauty and structure we cultivate in our own lives, and those enduring relationships, those values and lessons that stand the test of time. Now, on the flip side, we have the annuals. Now, these are the vibrant plants that you see in the spring. They tend to come out in the spring with beautiful colors and all of that. But those plants have a single life cycle. Yeah, they have a single life cycle. And that means they germinate, they bloom, and then they die, all in 1 year. They don't go any further than that, right? Now, people, they use these types of plants to fill gaps in their flower beds, or, just beautify the landscape of around their home or the area, wherever they're putting it, it beautifies it, right? And so it's the most vibrant flowers that you can see, but their existence is short-lived. Yeah. So this type of plant mirrors certain relationships in our lives. Those that come into our world for a very brief period. They may bring you joy and insight, but ultimately they fade away, just like the plant. And this is like people, like, for example, you might have met in high school. You hung out together, had a great time and everything. But then upon graduation, you all go your separate ways, and that's pretty much it. No love lost, no kind of thing. But you learned, you had fun in a time period, and then boom, it's gone, just like that. Boom. It went away. So, think about a relationship or a friendship with someone that was kind of like that, and it served its purpose, basically. But no harm, no foul, right? So I'm going to give you a clear picture. I want to share a very famous quote, and many of you already know it, but you might not have known who wrote it. The quote is by Brian A. Chalker. Now, this quote goes, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Now, let's break that down, okay? Know it. So first, we're going to talk about reason relationships, okay? Now, these are often the short-lived, but they serve a significant purpose. Okay? So they're short-lived in the moment of time. So I'm going to give you an example. For example, the NACA program, right? The NACA program is for people who want to purchase a home, and they offer you this assistance that's incredible. So when I purchased my home, I entered the program. It was, and a lot of people say, "Oh, you entered this program, you were able to get approved," and I was like, yeah, it was great because you had a counselor, and that counselor was with you nonstop, held your hand every step of the way. Anything that was missing, they would coordinate with you. You needed some additional information, you send them an email, they responded back. So they was in your life extensively and all up in your business. There's no privacy here. But when you purchase a house, when is it really a privacy, and when is it ever a quick turnaround, right? It is a process, a bunch of papers, a lot of paperwork involved here, and a lot of organizing, and really getting to understand yourself, because you are stepping into a new world where you probably never had this level of a responsibility prior to purchasing a home. So having that counselor with you every step of the way is a beautiful benefit. So through the process, they are all up in it, all heavily involved. And then when everything is approved and done and you are settled in your home, poof, they're gone. Just like that, short-lived. But guess what? They were in your life for a reason. So like I said, they might teach us something about ourselves or help us navigate a specific challenge. Just like I said, the counselor in the NACA program was a great example, and that's the reason. So like annuals, they bring a vibrant splash of color and energy with their blooms, right? And they offer valuable lessons, and then they're gone. Now, moving on, we have season relationships. Now, these are the ones that accompany us through a particular phase of our lives. Now, they provide us with joy and companionship and growth, but like the changing seasons, they eventually come to an end. And these relationships are much like perennials. They bring you beauty during their time, but requiring us to accept their temporary presence. We do not always realize that this relationship is a season, but you might actually categorize it as a lifetime. Right? By mistake, because they're in your life, you're having a great time, they're in it, and they're all involved, and they're actively there, and all that fun stuff, and then, poof, they're gone too, because it was just for a season. And that one can get a little emotional. I can actually relate to that one, because I've had a friendship or a relationship where I thought this was a lifetime, and then we're no longer in that same kind of relationship. We don't talk to each other, we're not connected, but they serve their purpose. Right? And then lastly, we come to lifetime relationships. Now, these are the deep-rooted connections that last through all seasons of our lives. Now, they're like the perennials as well, and while they may die back, they continue to thrive year after year. Now, I want each of you all should have some deep-rooted connection relationships that last all seasons, their lifetime. You might have been with that person since you were a child, or, growing up, and now they're still in your life as an adult, in an adult relationship. I love that, right? I could think really quickly about a few of my girlfriends where we went to college together, we grew together, but we live in different states. We have our own families, but when we come together, that connection is as if we had never even separated. It's just that deep-rooted, and I love that, So think about that when you think of a deep-rooted connection, if there's anyone in your life like that. So, and that's the same thing with the garden, right? They continue, like I said, to thrive year after year, and this adds depth and structure to our personal gardens. Now, in gardening, as in life, we must embrace each season, recognizing that the ups and downs are natural and necessary. And just as the perennials prepare for new growth beneath the surface, we too are often growing and evolving, even when it may not seem visible. Like, you may be in school getting your master's or, a certification. You might want to enhance something in your life. You might be changing your diet, right? But it won't show for a few months until, you've been consistent, and then it starts to show outwardly what you've done internally, right? So I encourage you to reflect on your own life's seasons. Now, what lessons have you learned from the perennials and annuals in your garden? Think about that. And then I want to know, how can you appreciate the beauty in each phase, knowing that each brings its own gifts? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I want to thank you for joining me today on A Dose of Nicki. Let's celebrate the seasons of life and the gardening metaphors that connect us all. Remember, just like a garden, your life is a beautiful tapestry of relationships and experiences, each teaching us valuable lessons. Until next time, nurture your growth and embrace the lessons each season brings. Stay fab, keep growing, and be well, my friends. Be well. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, join us next week for another insightful conversation. And remember, if you have found value in our discussions, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell icon to be notified when a new episode drops on YouTube. Take care and happy gardening. A dose of Nicki.